All right. We are back here at Song of the Day, coming to you from the Rock Cave Annex, just upstairs from the cave. Hope you're all doing well today. It is Thursday, and we had a few things we could do today, but I'm going to mix it up. It's been a little while since we did one of these, so we're going to do that. We are going to do a soundtrack today. We haven't done a soundtrack in a while. So I'm excited to talk about today's soundtrack. And this goes back to 1991. How about that? This soundtrack, the Commitments movie soundtrack, turns 30 this year. And what a soundtrack it is. I don't know how many people saw this movie or listened to this soundtrack, but I remember the soundtrack being a pretty big deal in all. And it's really one of the top grossing Irish movies of all time. If not, at the time, it was the top grossing Irish movie of all time. How about that? I do not have any Irish whiskey shirts, but I do have this bourbon shirt here. And for those of you who don't know, there's plenty of you that do know, but for those of you that don't know how bourbon becomes bourbon, first of all, there's just a set of rules about what has to be done to make bourbon. First and foremost, it does not have to come from Kentucky, if you didn't know that already. It just has to be made in one-time only used white American oak barrels. One time only. And then it has to be at least 51% corn. Anyway, there's all these other things. So you can call it bourbon as long as you follow all these rules. But the interesting part why I bring it up is that what do they do with all those barrels since they're only one-time use? Well, they ship them to Ireland, who fire them and then make their whiskey using those barrels. How about that? Anyway, so let's talk about the Commitments. Who remembers when this came out? I mean, for me, it was not the movie theater. It was VHS. That's what got me into it, and that's true for pretty much a lot of people. The movie didn't do very well in the United States in the box office. It was kind of a disappointment, but when it was released on VHS, there was a huge push for it on VHS, and it did very, very well, and there was a second round of it kind of coming around. And that's when I saw it, and I just really became obsessed with the music itself. The movie it's good. It's a good movie. I got no issues with the movie. If you haven't seen it, you should see it. But again, it was a worldwide hit, especially in Ireland. We can all, if you remember the movie, you remember the actors and actresses, many of whom did have some music careers. They actually toured as the Commitments. And if you didn't know the band, the Corrs, all of the Corrs, they're in the band as backing band members. They have parts. One of them has a speaking part, but they're all in there as far as that's concerned. They did release the soundtrack. And again, at this time in 1992, it was well in the charts. The first soundtrack did quite well. It went to number 8 on the Billboard Top 200. Spent over a year in the charts, I believe. It was so successful that they released a second soundtrack that had 4 songs from the film and then some other ones. And that one went gold. So the first one sold like 3 million copies, and the other one sold 500,000. But the key is the music in here is so fun. And it introduced you to songs that maybe you either forgot about or that you didn't know or you knew from other artists, right? We're talking, I listened to this soundtrack, and then the next thing I know, I'm out buying Wilson Pickett CDs, Mary Wells, the Marvelettes, Aretha Franklin, Al Green, Helen Reddy. I mean, I went back to find the original singers of these songs, and it just got me into this whole other avenue of music, and it was really, really great. So for that soundtrack to do that was pretty good. And I did listen to this soundtrack a ton, especially the first one. So what songs we got talking about on here? We got Mustang Sally, Take Me to the River, which obviously Talking Heads I knew from that. Chain of Fools, again, I thought I knew that song until, from another band, until I heard the original. Dark End of the Street, Destination Anywhere, that's a fun one. I Can't Stand the Rain, Tina Turner does a great version of that one. Try a Little Tenderness, of course. Mr. Pitiful, Bye Bye Baby, the Marvelettes, right? Hard to Handle, I thought that was a Black Crowes song, right? It's not. Show Me, I Thank You, Too Many Fish in the Sea. I'd never heard that song before. That's the Marvelettes. Great song. These are all great songs. So if you're just looking for something different to listen to today, I want you to pull up the Commitment soundtrack 1 and 2 and just play the whole thing beginning to end. It's just fun music, background music to have playing. And it's just really, really good. So I am going to post a bunch of my favorites underneath as I do for soundtrack topics. But if you have to pick one for song of the day, it's got to be the iconic Mustang Sally. I mean, everyone got into that song because of this movie. I remember just hearing it in bars and hearing it just all over the place. And it's this version of it. So it's a fun one for Thursday. So that's just it. Mustang Sally, the Commitments. Enjoy it. If you take your mission seriously, I want to hear if you listen to the Commitment soundtrack today. Tomorrow, Octane Friday, something's, oh yeah, tomorrow's good choice for tomorrow. I'm excited for tomorrow. Lots of good music coming down the pike. So keep tuned and let me know how you're doing. Have a great day, and as usual, catch you on the flip side.